Hey, Salvete Discipuli and Salvete Omnes. Welcome again to another episode of Latin and Layman's. I'm hoping this mic is working this time around because it hasn't been, oddly enough. But we're going to entertain some more chemistry because the periodic table is all made up of Latin, actually. And some words that we just made up, like Einsteinium and stuff like that. So, without further ado, got to mention here real quickly. I've been seeing people comment photos. Comment more photos. That's fun. I actually don't know how to do that yet. I heard that that's a thing now. Uh, keep it appropriate, please, and thank you, or else I'm deleting it. So just keep it appropriate so that you can actually be highlighted in the comment section. Love to see some. I don't know, Ko-Fi, if you learned something here, or you learn anything from my podcast, because I've been doing more podcasts. I just did one on Persephone and Demeter, and why we have the seasons and the changing of the seasons. That is the etiological understanding, the explaining of the unexplainable as to why we have seasons. So if you didn't know about that myth, dive on into it. And yeah, Hades is a bit of a poopy butthole. Persephone gets tricked. Demeter, D, a derivation of Ge, which comes from Gaia, which means earth, and then Meter is a derivation of Mater, which means mother. So Demeter is the earth mother. So do with that what you will. And now we're going to get into some chemistry because I'm ramble bambling like I always do. So I got HG. Maybe you've been thinking about what HG is. What is HG? If you don't know, look it up because it's mercury. But what the bloody frick? Mercury. Hope I got that right. But there's no H, there's no G. What the? Anyways, why is this the case? Well, I'm sorry. This is Greek, actually. So we do have a couple that entertain the Greek because H refers to hydra, which means wet in this case. And then G is gyrum, hydrogyrum. This is a derivation of argentum. So gyrus in the Greek refers to silver. So if you have silver and then you have wet, hydrogyrum just means wet silver. And go ahead and look up a picture of mercury and tell me what it looks like to you. And then I'll just go ahead and say that I'm always right because it looks just like wet silver. Humans are lazy, aren't they? Sometimes we just come up with words because we don't know how to, suss it out any other way, which is funny. Because if you think about, like in German, for instance, like the word for a vacuum, so matter of fact, it's a compounded form of dust plus sucker equals vacuum in the German. I'm not going to say the actual word because I'll probably botch it. Na, though, I'm going to take a little bit of I got to take an action stance here. Na. Maybe you know because we've done this one before. That's what it is in the Latin. Second declension neuter, which makes sense because something that's neuter would be probably an element because it doesn't really have a masculine or feminine or anything like that. But Na, what is it? If you didn't know, now you know. And this is where you get terms like if you were to present to the emergency room with a blood panel and you're feeling a little, I don't know, maybe you're feeling symptoms of hypoglycemia or something like that. You're feeling very lethargic. Maybe you're feeling very nauseous. I don't know. But this is where we get something called hypo low nat hyponitr. And then guess what? Emia. And remember, emia in the medical sense comes from hemia or hema, which means blood. This is where you get hemophilia. I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent because that's where you get hemorrhage and or hemorrhoid. Now I'm done. All of them pertaining to blood stuff because, well, what are hemorrhoids? They're just enlarged blood vessels. So, as they say, because I'm not going to cuss, but either poop or get off the pot, or you'll see get with something like that if I were to continue on. All right, I'm done. Hope you learned something new. Consider Ko-Fi because I just dropped knowledge on you that you probably didn't know. That was us together.